Hey, and welcome to the Pet Business Owner Podcast. I'm Charlotte, your host and the founder of Pet Business Support, your go-to digital marketing business for all pet business owners. I'm also the proud founder of Canine Marketing Support, the marketing membership every canine pro needs. In this podcast, I dive deep into the world of marketing for pet businesses, from social media strategies and branding tips to customer engagement and business growth. I've got you covered. Plus, I'll be chatting with some very special guests along the way who'll share their own experiences and insights. So whether you're a dog walker, trainer, groomer, or any other pet professional, this podcast is here to help you thrive. Grab a cup of tea, get yourself comfortable, and let's get started on making your pet business the best it can be. Thanks everybody for joining me for another amazing episode of the Pet Business Owner Podcast. Today I've got a really special guest with me, Jemma Martin from Whistle and Wag Dog Training. So I'm going to open the floor, let Jemma tell you a little bit more about her business, and then we'll get into some really good marketing questions. So Jemma, do you want to tell us all about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Jemma Martin and I run Whistle and Wag Dog Training based in Suffolk with my friend Nikki. We've been going now, I think, 3.5 years. We specialise in gun dog training, but also do sort of life skills and behaviour consultations and one-to-ones. Sorts.
Oh, amazing. Obviously, we got such a big audience that watch this podcast, from trainers to walkers to sitters. It's a really big mix of people. So I wanted to change the podcast from being all about just social media, but to marketing in general, because I think we can learn tips and tricks off everybody on how to implement it in our own businesses. So I know you do really well on social media. Is there any other ways to start off with that you market your business other than social media?
We use Google Ads mainly. Most of our marketing is social media.
Okay.
Spend a real minimal amount on Google stuff, but we've worked really hard on our SEO stuff on the website, so that's helped us with our rankings there anyway. So yeah, it is mainly social media.
And do you do any like content marketing in terms of blogs and things like that, or is it just website work as in tweaking stuff on the website?
So yeah, we have got a blog on our website. That was part of helping our SEO, and I think actually that's the main thing on the website, other than doing updates and using key phrases where we need to. The blog has probably helped us in the rankings more than anything, because I think if you search secure field in Suffolk randomly, our blog is the first thing that comes up, and we don't have a secure field.
So let's talk a little bit about social media then. And what platforms do you primarily use to market your business?
So we use Facebook and Instagram, but I probably would say that about 80% of our business comes from Facebook as opposed to Instagram.
And that's really interesting to hear, because I think pretty much everybody's in the same sort of boat. Like, I know people do get inquiries through Instagram, etc., but it always seems to be that people favor that Facebook. And whether they go over to Instagram to have a little look at your account, but then still come back through Facebook anyway. So yeah, that's really interesting. And the reason I've got Gemma on here is because Gemma's been doing really well at the moment at reels and video footage, and not in a way that you think would be short form videos that are doing well for her. So Gemma, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing video format wise recently?
How we've been being complete and utter twonks.
I've come across Gemma's page a few times and I'm like, oh gosh, is this a personal page or is this a business page? And it's a business page, but it's working.
Yeah, so it's taken us a while to work out what gets the right engagement. So we were doing lots of serious training posts and how to do this and things like that. And actually some of them did really well. I think the ones that are really simple, where we go how to teach a dog middle or something pretty much irrelevant but fun, they got quite good engagement. But just recently we've been doing ones that actually don't involve dogs at all. So it's like me geeing myself up to do admin, dancing to Eminem, or there was one dancing with Claire in a hotel room about being around people that vibe the same way as you, and they've had probably double the engagement that we'd usually have. I think it is important to have a variation of that fun, stupid stuff, just to draw people in, so they can then look at your stuff and go, oh, actually they do serious stuff as well.
I think it's really good you touched on that then. It's like having that balance, isn't it? Like, we're having fun because it's social media platforms, they're meant to be social, aren't they? We're meant to have fun on them. But having that mix that go, actually, this person can help me with X, Y, and Z, that's such an important sort of mix. So when we talk about the engagement of videos again, and do you think that they are helping more people find you? Or is it a case that they're just bringing up those follower numbers?
No, I think they probably are helping people find us because of how the algorithm is on Instagram and Facebook. We have to try and find new ways to reach the people that would want to use us but don't know we exist because Instagram and Facebook hide us from the world. I think if you can play into the algorithm and get things that they go, oh, people want to watch these weirdos doing funny dances, definitely, then they feed into your page that way and they go, oh, okay, I'm looking for a dog trainer. These guys seem quite good. But yeah, it gets them there.
Yeah, and I love that. So, in terms of when you talk about playing into the algorithm, how do you set yourself up for success when you make these reels? What is it that you do? Is there like a certain audio thing you use? Is there a certain amount of seconds you aim for? What is like your secret formula for building a really good reel?
I think it's a bit hit and miss, really. I try to use audios that are trending but have a low number of trending audio, so 1,000 ish, maybe. I try and look at different trends that have been going on Instagram and how I can apply that to us. So there was one I did with Red the other day with stupid signs, and that went down quite well. There's no specific thing that I do other than trying to use trending music that's not overly used, because I don't know, you're the one that knows all about this, but I don't know whether the algorithm likes them as they're growing or when they're freaking huge. But that's what I do. And like I say, using the trends and trying to apply them to us and make it our own.
Yeah, the algorithm comes across some sort of like secret thing that nobody quite understands, and it is difficult. So when you talk about trending audios, yeah, I think you're doing definitely the right thing there. Is you're finding something that's starting to trend, because what we can get ourselves into a bit of a loop of is finding audios and we're like, yeah, they've only got 500 plays, I'm going to use that, and they don't grow. Whereas if we find ones that are already in that process that haven't got like 100,000 uses, they put us in a really good position. And I've seen brilliant results of people using audios under 10,000 is what I recommend. There is no sort of set answer with it, but I think what you're doing there is really good. In terms of like, all right, we've talked about the audio side of things, which is really important. What about the inspiration for these reels? Is it just something that comes to you, or is it like somebody that you've seen in another industry do something similar? How do you get this inspiration?
Like I say, some of them are like those trends that we try and work on and make our
Yeah,
own. So yeah, I think the big change for me has been, rather than sitting down and thinking about things for hours and hours and hours, I've gone, right, I'm going to film something. What am I going to
yeah,
film? Whether it's, I don't know, Red picking up a letter, or me doing something weird like packing my bag to go out for the day, or something. It's getting on and doing it rather than stagnating and sitting there going, well, what would make a good reel? Should I do this?
yeah,
Should I do this? It's like, it's better to just do it, something.
yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Because the reels we spend 5 minutes doing versus the reel we spend 5 hours planning, recording, editing, and then it just flops. It can feel so soul destroying, can't it? When you put on all of that effort and then something you're literally dancing in the kitchen to goes crazy. It's mental. So the reels that you've done, obviously, I'm not going to ask you for specific numbers, but how, in terms of views, how many views are these reels getting on average?
So our normal reels that I would say are our sort of standard reels when
Yeah,
we're trying to be educational and trying to do something what I
yeah,
would class as dog trainery, they probably average about 400, 500 views every
yeah,
time. That's where they sit and they stagnate there.
yeah.
Um, the stupid reels are ranging between 2 and 3,000 views.
The
There was
difference. Yeah.
a random one of me just walking down a track with the dogs that got nearly 15,000 views.
Wow. Yeah,
You
you
can't
can just
predict
really
it.
see it. Yeah. And another thing to touch upon with that, where you're saying the reels where you're in them obviously are doing a lot better. And I talk about this quite a lot within the membership and with my own clients about how important it is to show your face and the difference that makes, not just from a perspective of, yes, okay, the real views go up, but building that relationship with somebody you haven't met on the internet. I find that if I don't know what the trainer looks like or what the sitter looks like, they just turn up at my house. It feels a bit like, oh gosh, I'm going to something I don't know. Whereas if I've seen you and I've seen you have fun and I've seen you laugh and I've seen you with your own dogs and I've seen you with others' dogs, that sort of puts you at ease. I don't know if you find the same. Like if you can put a name to a face, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, especially with our gun dog stuff, I think a lot of people are quite daunted to signing up to gun dog stuff because it
Yeah,
sounds super serious and super,
yeah,
oh, that's really proper stuff.
yeah.
But when they see us being lunatics on the field or dancing around the house, they're probably like, oh, they're clearly not proper gun dog trainers. They seem fine.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you put that out there, and that content will just help remove that barrier for people. And another big thing with social media is removing that barrier, isn't it? Making it as easy as possible from somebody looking at our page to get into that booking stage. That whole system needs to be as streamlined as possible. So it's really good you touched upon that. So what is, obviously, I know you do stuff on a whim in your social media, but do you have any sort of like plan in place, like structure in terms of this week I'm going to do two posts or carousels about something serious, one funny reel, or is it just all completely when you think about it that you do it?
It depends how busy my week is. I try to sit down on a
Yeah,
Monday and schedule some and bits in.
yeah,
But when we're having particularly busy weeks or whatever, and I haven't had that Monday, it is a bit more random. Like I spoke to you the other day about upcoming courses and things. So I'm
yeah.
starting to schedule those bits in so I can start to release those and get those booked. There is a little bit of structure around it, especially with our Instagram grid, because it has to look pretty, and I've got a special pattern which Nick
Yeah.
finds very anal. But yeah, it depends week to week. Sometimes I will do a proper plan on Business Suite and make sure it's all ready to go. But other weeks it's a bit more sporadic.
Do you find that the weeks that you've got stuff scheduled in, you feel like you're having a bit more of a breather because you know that, gosh, that's the last thing I need to think about and it's done for me?
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely helps with whatever algorithm is out there when you're posting a bit more regularly as well. They go, oh, okay, something must pick up, because it's the more regularly you post, I think that helps as well.
Yeah, and that's really good that you touched upon that as well, because the regularity of things, the consistency on social media makes such a difference, because we could do two really good posts a week and then do nothing and then your engagement sort of drops. Whereas if we're frequently getting out good content, that will show, in your results, you'll get a lot more engagement back from it. We've talked a lot about Instagram, we've talked a lot about Reels. In terms of Facebook, do your efforts change on Facebook? Is there anything you do differently on Facebook, or is it both apps get the same sort of treatment?
No, and actually, this is what you touched on the other day with me, that we probably need to do more specific stuff for Facebook as well, because I am lazy in the respect that whatever goes on Instagram gets shared over to Facebook, and that maybe doesn't work as well on Facebook. As I said to you, most of our stuff comes from Facebook, so I probably need to make a greater effort to maybe do more of those dog training reels and stuff on Facebook, so that I'm getting the engagement on there, and make use of like calls to action, like share a picture of your dog, or what's your
Yeah.
biggest training thing, or all those bits. The only thing that's on Facebook that isn't on Instagram is the obviously the events, which again
Yeah.
we've spoken about sharing more and getting them out there a bit.
Yeah, so the events, just so people understand what we're talking about. So Gemma puts her events onto Facebook so that you know what's coming up, what classes are coming up, what courses are coming up. And I think that makes a big difference because, again, the apps don't like us taking people off the platforms. They really don't. So when we put a link in something, it might not be shown to as many people as something without a link, and that's been noted. So if we have somewhere that people can see our stuff without going off of Facebook, Facebook really enjoys that and goes, what, show the people these events, so share them from time to time. So you say a lot of people come to you from Facebook. So where is it that they're coming from? Is there any way, do you share stuff into groups, or is it purely that they've gone, oh, I've seen my friend is trained, I'm going to contact you via Facebook? Or how is it that they find you, do you think?
So I think our one-to-one stuff is mainly recommendations, and obviously Google, and whether they find us on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah,
Our courses I do share to probably about 10 or 15 local sort of groups. So whether they're village groups or whether they're dog walking groups, or we've got a Suffolk pet dog walkers and sitters and trainers group, so that goes on
yeah.
there. There's loads of different niche groups on Facebook that I can share it to reach more people.
Yeah, one barrier I get a lot when I speak to people is, oh yeah, but my local group doesn't allow me to post about X, Y, Z, or they only allow it on a certain day and things like that. So I say to people about being clever with their content. So sharing something that isn't directly related to their business, but that can help. So for example, being the first in your area to talk about adder season or to talk about the weather warming so that they share stuff into the groups. Do you find that in your local area there are those barriers? And if so, how do you overcome them?
Yeah, so there's certainly some groups that sort of do one post a week, or
Yeah,
posting businesses only on Mondays, and things like that. Some don't allow business pages onto the group, so I end
yeah,
up posting it from my personal page, which they don't
yeah,
mind. There are a couple that don't allow any sort of advert, so like you say, I will share an informative post that we've done from the page
Perfect.
instead,
Yeah.
which hopefully then brings them over and they find out more stuff. But yeah, I mean, that it's been quite reliable with getting people to our page. So I would definitely recommend people stalk their local sort of Facebook pages, whether that's for their village or town, or Suffolk Dogs is another one that we've got.
Yeah, and that's really good that you've got that idea in your head, because I think the other thing a lot of people think is all my content all the time has to be promoting my business, which in fact you've just shown us with your real views that that doesn't work. It's not really a good sort of a marketing strategy to have, is that everything is going to be promotional, everything is going to be about my business. Having fun, sharing stuff that helps people will bring people in. So that's really good to know. In terms of marketing for the future then, not obviously in 2050, but in the relatively close future, are you going to keep doing what you're doing in terms of reels? Do you think that's your plan going forward? Or have you got some other ideas? Like I've spoken to people about doing lives from time to time. If that's something that's on your agenda, what is it that you're planning on doing for probably the rest of the year going into next?
Yeah, I think Instagram is going to be finding what works for those reels and trying to at least do a couple of those a week amongst the other bits that maybe aren't so exciting to people, to try and keep the engagement level up. And hopefully my aim for the year is to grow our followers to 1,000 on Instagram, which probably for many people doesn't seem like a lot, but for us it is.
It's really good you touched upon that as well. It's been relative to your audience, isn't it? So if there's 1,000 in your area that you think, wow, that would be really good, that's relative to you, which I think is a really good goal.
Yeah, so yeah, carry on building with those reels, trying to expand on what we've done so far in the last sort of month, really, that we've been being stupid.
Yeah.
Facebook, definitely promoting our courses and stuff on our page and doing more Facebook relevant stuff so that they work better on there. And again, we discussed with you the other day about going live for advertising the courses. So tonight we've got a group course and we might do a minute's live at the start going, look, this is the course, this is what we're waiting to do. We'll crack on with it. So yeah, doing those little bits that just are teasers, I suppose.
Yeah. That's really good that you've got that plan ahead as well. In terms of another barrier that I get spoken about a load is, oh, I forget to take content when I'm with clients, or I don't know if my clients are happy about this. So how do you, again, overcome those barriers? Is there something that you put in place, like a reminder on your phone, or do you ask people for homework? How do you get people to give you like permission for using the dogs? What is it that you do?
So we always ask at the start of every course, are people all right with photos and videos and things like that? It's very rare that anyone will say, oh no, I really don't want any photos of my dogs or me on Facebook.
Yeah.
It happens and that's fine. The hard bit is remembering to take the photos and videos, like you say, because you'll get so involved in the class or the lesson or whatever, and it'll finish and you'll be like, oh, I didn't take any photos.
Yeah.
My photos are generally a dog at the end of the lesson going, look who I've taught today. But no, we are trying to get better. So we did a water workshop the other day and Nikki and I were taking turns to film some bits and pieces. I think that's the hardest struggle, is trying to remember that your phone's in your pocket and just to whip it out sometimes while someone's doing something. No, Claire Denyer, who we both know, is like the queen of doing this, and she's always got a phone in her hand no matter what she's teaching. So it's amazing. She gets loads of content. But yeah, it's definitely something we need to try harder with because we're not great at it.
Yeah, and it does make a big difference. I think obviously we know your cockers from going on the page, and we know Nikki's dogs as well from going on the page. But it's having that mixture of content, isn't it? Different dogs, different people from time to time. And this is another thing that I see a lot, like people I think miss the opportunities with, is testimonials. So loads of people will go down the route of written testimonials. Will you please leave me a review? Blah, blah, blah. But maybe it's a good idea, especially where as video format is more popular at the moment, to get people to actually physically record that video, which Gemma was at the LWDG Weekender, and Gemma was pinning people in the corner and getting those videos off them for testimonials for the weekend. And there was, all right, people go, oh, I didn't want to do it. But actually, was there any issue with nobody? They all seemed to do it. So it's about like on that last day of the training course or your last walk or whatever it is that you're doing, perhaps just spending 10 minutes at the end going around people and saying, look, I just want 30 seconds. What do you think of that course? So I don't know if you agree with that, whether that's a good idea for people.
Yeah, definitely. We started doing it on our courses probably 3 or 4 courses ago.
Yeah.
Which is why we then started doing it for the weekend ladies working dog group trainings as well.
Yeah.
And then did it at the weekender as well. So
yeah.
I've got quite used to pinning people down now. And they do make nice little videos that you can put out as advertising and things like that. So definitely worth doing. If your clients are up for it, for the sake of, I think, 30 seconds, ask them 3 questions about the course. Yeah, and use it.
Yeah, definitely. And use them, like you said, on Facebook, on Instagram. You could do a little like video section on your website if you really wanted to get into all of that. And there's so many tools out there now. Like I use Otter AI, which will pull the transcript off a video. So if you wanted then to turn it into a testimonial for your website or to turn it into a static testimonial, that one piece of content becomes loads of different pieces of content, which leads me nicely to my next sort of question for you, and that's repurposing content. So content that you've done previously that you can reformat in another way or resharing it. How do you feel about repurposed content? And do you do any repurpose stuff?
Yeah, I do it quite a lot, especially if I'm having like a busy week where I haven't got much
Yeah.
time to do social media stuff. I will look back at what did well a year ago and I'll go, oh, that was a good post. That worked really well. I'll change the picture, maybe change the hashtags on it and repost it. As simple
Yeah.
as that. Or if I've got a bit of time and I see that a topic's done really well, I might use that topic to do a reel on it, but use the same write up and things like that.
So when stuff does really well for you, how do you measure that? So I'm like a really analytical person, so I will go into the back end of Facebook and have a little look at all the pretty graphs and go, oh, that worked well, or oh, this didn't work well. What determines something does well to you? Is it just that you remember that content did really well, or is it a case of you look into those analytics and see what worked well?
Yeah, so I use Meta Business Suite and look back at
Yeah,
content and see what had the highest engagement, what had the highest comments or whatever. So yeah,
yeah.
that's how I look back at go, oh, okay, that did well. Let's do that again.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so to finish off then, I thought we'd talk about somebody who's come, they're new into the pet business owner world. They've just started out with whatever business they've got, and they're starting up their social media pages or their marketing scheme or whatever it is they're going to be doing. What sort of three, they don't have to be social media specific, but three tips would you have for marketing generally for a brand new business within the pet business owner world?
I think branding's really important.
Yeah.
Deciding what you're branding, what you're going to look like displayed to public. So colors, logo, the format in which you post stuff. So it all looks the same. So if someone looks at that and then looks at that and then looks at that, they know it's you. I know you say this a lot, and that's get your face out there so they know who you are, that they can trust you. You're not just a faceless business that they're a bit dubious of. Do some live talky videos, introduce yourself and say, hi, I'm so and I'm doing this. Really look forward to meeting you and your pets. I think just get started. Don't think too long about stuff. Just if you've got a thought, do it, get it out there. It doesn't matter if it's amazing or if it's a little bit naff and you could have done better. We've all got posts that we look back on and go, oh, that could have been better. But that post might have reached 4 people that wouldn't have found you otherwise. So if you've got an idea, get out there, do it, and don't hang around doing it. Just go with the gut and you can always get better.
Yeah, so branding, show your face and get yourself out there basically. And is that what you lived by starting your pages? Is that what you felt that you had to do in order to get your social media success?
Yeah, pretty much. We set Whistle and Wag up while we were both in full-time employment, so didn't really have much time around anything else to do anything. So we got the website out there so people had somewhere to go that showed what we did and blah blah blah. And with the Facebook and Instagram, it was just little by little growing it, posting bits here and there and trying to be consistent. I think that's the main thing as well. So people can look at your page and see that you've been active and not been gone for a month.
Yeah, exactly. And the website thing you've just said, I get asked this a lot. Is it important to have a website? From your own perspective, is your website important? Do you think that it helps a lot with your business?
Yes, I think
Yeah,
it makes you more credible as a business, because if I'm looking for something and I go to Facebook to look for something, the first thing I do is click on their website link from their Facebook. I don't
yeah.
really scan too much through Facebook. I might look at their last few posts, then I'll get to their website and try and learn a bit more about them. And I think if pages don't have that, I think people can get a little bit more skeptical about, are they a real business? Have they got their own emails, or can I book in through their website? All those bits. So yeah, even if it's just like a landing page website that tells people a bit about you with contact details and maybe a contact form, I think it's important to have something.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing. So thank you so much, Gemma, for that. It was really insightful. And there's loads of tips and tricks you can take away from that. Again, Gemma, if you just want to say what your social media handles are so people can check out your page.
Instagram is Whistle and Wag Dog Train. Facebook's the same.
So go check out, see what Gemma's doing. This is what I'm really trying to be passionate about at the moment is we see what each other are doing, get some inspiration off each other, and build off this. So thank you so much for that, Gemma.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.